you know your car needs a tune-up when those lights kind of start flashing, or a little while after.
Yeah, but you don't have to wait till then.
No.
Actually, I know my car needs a tune-up when one of those smart cars blows me off the line of scrimmage. That's not good. Our Monday morning mechanic, David Rogers from Keller Brothers Auto Repair, here showing off how you can find out just when it is time for a tune-up without waiting for the light. Hi, David.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Vida. How are you?
Hi.
Good. Hey, listen, you know, I heard two really funny things about tune-ups this week when I was listening to the radio. The first one was somebody said, I'm not tuning up my car because I can't afford to. I'm spending the money at the gas pump instead. Oh, wrong answer. You're spending more money at the gas pump, and you're probably going to end up spending more money in the shop later, sir, if that's what you're doing. The other funny one I heard was Barack Obama said that if you aired up your tires and tuned up your car, we wouldn't have to drill for oil. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but I would tell you that there may be some truth to that statement, in the sense that we could all certainly be spending a lot less. You know, there's some components in your car. We used to think of them as pretty minor. This is like a distributor cap, okay? And we used to think of a cap as a real simple tune-up item. It's got some little electrodes in there, you know. It's got a rotor that spins inside of there and makes contact with those electrodes. It kind of turns. You can see this one a little better as a used one. And you can see how this little thing makes contact with those inside there. Well, when those contacts get burned, or they get carbon on them from making contact and heating up, what happens is you begin to not burn the fuel as efficiently, because it doesn't send as efficient of a spark through. It's not as hot, so it doesn't burn as well. So this is a really important maintenance item. If you don't replace that thing, then what you could end up doing is replacing a catalytic converter at the shop later, because you're dumping raw fuel down the exhaust. It's not all burning up, and that could cost you $1,000. So when you start thinking about that kind of money, you think, gee, a little cap and a couple pieces of plastic might be a lot cheaper than paying for some expensive components later. A couple more things we think about in a tune-up. These are fuel injectors. Fuel injectors can fail in more than one way. The little fuel sprays out of the top of here. Y'all have probably seen me do the demonstration with a hairspray bottle, how the fuel sprays out, and it plugs in here. Well, couple different ways they can fail. Inside there, the seals can fail, or you can also have it start to clog up, or you can fail electrically. Okay, when you see it here, it starts to have resistance, which means that the spark's not getting through the components as well. We test for that in a couple of different ways. One is, if you watch here on my little ohms meter, this is something you could get at home if you wanted to. We can test it for resistance, and what we're looking for here is a really low number, or a 0. And as you see, as I plug it in, I'm much higher than 0. I'm going up to like a 0.65, 0.7. This thing's got a lot of resistance. Another thing that we can test this way are your spark plug wires. Sometimes people don't realize there's a couple ways that spark plug wires can fail too. One is resistance, and here I have a new wire, and I'll go ahead and plug this in and we'll begin to test it. And when you test the new wire, you can see that, well, my goodness, you're showing very little resistance. When I go in and test the old wire, I'm going to get a very high resistance, and what you can see is basically the sparks aren't going through the wire very well. I've got a ridiculous amount of resistance here, and that alone is grounds to replace it. Something you can do at home to test spark plug wires while the car is running. If you'll get a spray bottle and fill it just with water, then as the car's running, if you'll spray onto the wires while it's running, what'll happen is you'll hear it sounds like a bowl of Rice Krispies while the car's running. It'll be snap, crackle, pop. That's an indication that the wires are arcing out and need to be replaced as well. Folks, the last thing I'm going to show you, spark plugs. If you see here, we have a couple of plugs. You can pull a plug out and look at the electrode, which is this little metal part right here inside. This one's missing. It's all the way burned off. You can tell that that is no longer going to fire. It needs to be replaced. So if you see oil on here, if you see ash on here, anything like that, means spark plugs need to be replaced. I don't have enough time to go into all of it today, but the most important part of the message is you must do your tune-up, so you're wasting fuel and you're burning up parts that you wouldn't have had to otherwise replace. Get your car tuned up.
So much, David Rogers, our Monday morning mechanic.
Very good advice. I learn something new every day.